Hello, everyone, and thank you for joining me for another episode of The Journey. In this episode, I'm going to explain who I am as a person leading up to the infamous 2017 I Miss You text. I want you all to understand that in no way am I attempting to shift the blame of outcomes from me to external factors like people or events. I want you all to pay close attention to how the decisions I made were a direct indication of how I did not value myself and ultimately could not choose myself in some of the hardest times in my life. I kind of want to give you guys a definition of choosing oneself. So this is a really popular term that's been, being thrown around out there. And the definition for me is that it is the discipline required to make good, rational decisions at the expense of immediate short-term pleasure. So making a decision and taking actions that you know are good for you, although others may not agree with that decision, including yourself. The opposite of choosing oneself is called self-sabotage, where we actively negate the decision to do what's right or what's in our best interest for the temporary satisfaction of making others satisfied. Ultimately, we're chasing the temporary feeling of pleasure over true fulfillment. So I would like to start with, my first sexual experience was with my current ex-wife. I was 15 years old and I had met her through a ex-girlfriend who we did not have sex. But we pretty much had a relationship over the summer. Okay. And we went to the same school and my mutual friends were cool with her. And so me and Michelle, which is my ex-wife, we had sex for a brief time before it ended through her finding a picture of another girl in my wallet that I was dating, who went to my school at the time. So we didn't start talking again until I had seen her after a failed attempt to get back with Mie. I got her phone number, but never called her. Right. As during this time, I'm spiraling out of control. Mie is telling me she doesn't want to get back. I'm committing a ton of crimes. And so technically, I really didn't have time to talk to Michelle. And so I wouldn't reunite with Michelle until 1997 when I called her from jail. So prior to Mie, the girlfriend that ended up leaving me for Ernest, I was in a relationship with a young lady named Van. And me and Van had, like a 1.5 year relationship during high school. And, we were doing okay. I was poor. Her family was pretty well off. As they had a family business. They lived in the Oakland Hills with like a really nice house. And I had met Van through the ex-girlfriend Cassandra because they all went to the same school. They went to a private school. And me and Cassandra had went to junior high together. And so we had a bunch of mutual friends. And during this time, now mind you, me and Cassandra, we never had a sexual relationship. Okay. And our relationship literally lasted over a summer, okay, between junior high and high school. And once Cassandra started going to the new school, I was introduced to Van through mutual friends, of me and Cassandra's. And so me and Van were a thing. And Van was my sexual partner in my life, my second sexual partner. She was really into me. I was into her. I felt like she was a really honest and loyal young lady. And, I appreciated, that about her. We would soon run into problems. During the time that we dated, I would proceed to get her pregnant, where ultimately she would have 2 abortions. And during the end of the relationship, Mia had expressed interest in me, and I had began to date both of them secretly. And Mia would soon find out that I was still dating Van and made me go to Van's house to tell her that I couldn't be her boyfriend anymore. So Mia literally like drove me there, was sitting in the car in the driveway, looking at the front door, watching me knock on the door. Okay, so Van took the news pretty good, better than I expected. And, she just closed the door. And some weeks later, Van would call me and state that, she understood what I was going through and that, pretty much I was, going through a phase in my life, right? And that she was willing to actually be with both of us. She was cool with me being with her and Mia. So, I declined the offer and was pretty much letting her know that I'm going to be with Mia. Okay. And so now that I'm with Mia, I am still cheating. The first time I got caught cheating on Mia was when I gave her a STD, gonorrhea. So I had met this girl and we had sex within days after we met. And the night we had sex, I could feel this like immense pain, right, when I would get an erection. And then the worst, I would go to urinate the next morning and the sting I felt made me not want to pee ever again. And I still had sex with Mia the next day just through the pain. So some days later, Mia let me know, she called me and she was like, you gave me an STD and she broke up with me. So soon after that, right, I started to have this discharge and I immediately went to the doctor. And the process for checking for this type of STD was a nightmare. So it's really old school. It's a long time ago. I think now they take blood or something and, and they run a bunch of tests on it and they tell you what you got. Well, the doctor, right, and it was a lady doctor at that. So the doctor, right, she had this long Q-tip thing and it was like, it was almost like if you knew what, if you know what a shish kebab looks like, that stick that goes into a shish kebab. So it looked like that. But it was like on one side, it had a large cotton bulb, right, that looks like a big giant Q-tip. And on the other end, it had a sharp end that was slightly covered in cotton. Okay. And the sharp end was literally inserted into the urethra of the penis. Okay. And twisted. And this is done to break the sac that is accumulating the discharge. So that was the most painful experience I ever had. Okay. And I had never had, anything physically like that happen to me in my life. Okay. So after she, went in there and twisted it, she actually flipped it over and the big Q-tip part, right, the big cotton bulb, right, was then inserted. And that's where they got the sample. Okay. And so the large cotton bulb was green and, the lab determined that it was gonorrhea so that way they could do it right there when I'm in the office and she can prescribe me some medication. So I received the medication, soon started to feel better. And by this time, me and Mia had reconciled and was back together. So I know I went in there, I had some sob story and I was in there telling her how I'm sorry, I'm never going to do this again. And, and she took a chance. Okay. So soon after that, me and her started a relationship and she was really like, she bought me clothes. She would take me out. She had a job at a cleaner's. And her parents were pretty well off too. Okay. And we're both seniors in high school and Mia gets pregnant. And so ultimately she would have an abortion and she would go on to find me cheating multiple times and she would have sex with my friend as a payback for all the heartache I was dishing out. So I can see why a new start was in order for Mia as she left me and began dating Ernest. Okay, so these two women were really, really good to me. And I was just acting a fool. So now I'm 18, just graduated high school, barely, all right, as I was attending continuation school. And I ended up 1.5 credits short of enough credits to graduate. But I still had a chance as I could go to summer school to make up the credits. And the rule was that if you miss one day of summer school, then you're kicked out. Me, I missed the first day. So I had given up on going to school and had accepted the fact that I was just not going to have a high school diploma. Okay. And my father was upset. Okay. I lived with him at the time. And towards the end of the summer, my father got a call from the Board of Education supervisor stating that they had decided to let me graduate with the 1.5 credits short. And they stated that, I was never a problem in school. They said, oh, Jimmy's never been suspended or even had a referral to the principal's office. So they were, willing to give me a high school diploma. So I was happy about that. But soon, Mie would leave and I would spiral out of control and end up in jail. So while I'm in jail, I remembered that I had saw Michelle. And I reached out to one of our mutual friends who had her phone number. And I called collect and she accepted the call. So we soon started a relationship while I was, doing my 13 months in jail, where she would set up a phone that was separate from her parents' phone so that I could call, use the 3-way to call other people. She would send me money from time to time, but she would also drop off care packages of cigarettes. Cigarettes, they're like the highest standard of currency, right, outside of illegal drugs in jail. So this really helped me as my parents, they didn't have the money or even the desire to support me in jail financially. So once I was released from jail, me and Michelle were a couple. And mind you, Ryan, my son, was 6 months old. And she was okay with the fact that I had a son, as, he was conceived prior to our relationship. I was released from jail in 1998, and in 1999, on my birthday, my daughter Vanessa was conceived. Michelle soon told her parents that she was pregnant by me, and they hated it. They did not like the fact that I was a felon. They didn't like the fact that I was black. And so ultimately, they kicked her out the house. And, by the good graces, of the universe, her father's sister took her in and allowed her to live with her for the next 9 months through the pregnancy. So during this time, I came to live with her. I found a job delivering frozen meat, but I also was still cheating. My friend, he had met a young lady and he introduced me to her and her friends. And I would go to her house to hang out, would end up having an affair with all 4 friends. One night, I stated that I was going to the young lady's house, all right, who we all hang out with. We all go to her house and we all just hang out and chill. And, we smoke weed and, drink or whatever. And Michelle decided to come there to check to see what I was doing. And well, that night, me being uncontrolled, I thought it was a good idea, right, to have sex in the car with one of the friends. And Michelle drove right past the car. And the reason she kind of drove past the car, because it was a real common car, right? But for some reason, I don't know how I did this, but I saw her drive past and I immediately jumped in the driver's seat and I took off. And she saw me pull off. And so she chased me for like 15 minutes until I was like able to lose her. And when I got home that night, all my clothes were on the bushes in front of the house. And she was at the door telling me to leave. And, she was calling me all kind of names. It was horrible. So I had to move back with my grandma. And I was really good at taking ownership for what I've done, which is why I think I'm able to get back with these people, right? So this is why I'm able to get back with Michelle. But I just would not change. And I did not stop the cheating. Okay. So during the breakup, I actually ramped up the uncontrolled sexual activity as I pursued relationships with 3 of the friends. This culminated in me dating the last of the 4 friends for some time, although that friend knew I was in a relationship with Michelle. And we would meet up, have sex over the course of like 3 to 4 years. And ultimately, she decided to cut the relationship off as she desired an honest relationship and wanted to have children, which, I didn't want to have no more children because I already have 2 children at the time. Okay. And so now going forward, I would then meet Kim, and Kim worked at McDonald's. And when I met Kim, I was pulling up to the window and I was getting the food and something said, man, you could get at her. And I did. And when I got at her, she gave me her number and everything. And me and Kim proceeded to start having sex. So we started a sexual relationship. Um, and during this time is when I had just pretty much got past being caught up in the hotel scandal, in which my friend at the time would not own up to contributing to the delinquency of a minor. Okay. And Kim became pregnant, and I immediately wanted her to get an abortion. She stated that she would, and I became really distant, as I was getting tired of going through the emotional roller coaster. And of course, I'm the conductor of this roller coaster. So I just really wanted to be done with the relationship and felt like, once the abortion is completed, I could start new. Okay. But over the course of the next 6 months, I would not be in contact with Kim until she called me and stated that it was too late to get the abortion and that she was having the baby. I was floored. I was like, oh my God. And the reason that she didn't get the abortion was because she had no one to go with her. And so my distance really helped to, create this scenario. So this resulted in my son Kamani being born. And I was able to hide the baby from Michelle and my family for about a year until one day Michelle was going through my drawers in my room. Okay. And while I was asleep, and she found the letter that the county sent you requesting that you come to court and, for the child support. And so I was in college for about a year and I didn't have no job. So therefore, Kim was on welfare, which triggered the courts to come locate the father, right? And I was named on the birth certificate, so that was an easy find. Michelle woke me up, throwing my cell phone at my head, which missed luckily, and it slammed against the headboard of my bed, right? And she was stating how I was a dirtbag, and how could you, right? It was a big fallout. But ultimately, I manned up. I took responsibility for my child, and I was in Kamani's life. So I would bring him over to my house. I would spend time regularly with him. And we did this for about 1 year. And, Kim just really could not handle me saying that I didn't want to be in a relationship with her. And so once she became involved with another man, I was soon X'd out. She X'd me out of Kamani's life. So more to come on this situation. At this point, I'm in college for 1 year and single with 3 kids. Okay, so pretty much, I tell this story of, lies, cheating, and betrayal as I have come to understand today that my inability to control my sexual desires were building negative outcomes in my life and were coming back to haunt me. And ultimately, these actions and outcomes would set the stage for my heart to be shattered to the core. And the feelings and emotions that I dealt with of being caught cheating, lying, betraying the people closest to me took a toll on my heart as I now understand the impact I was having on others. How the woman I was trying to love was having to experience repeated traumas that I had little to no control over. I would feel guilt after having sexual encounters with other women, knowing that I was hurting someone that did not deserve this, which drove the desire to hide my misdeeds through the roof. So based on my poor decisions, I hurt the people closest to me, including myself. The lies, manipulation, and outright disrespect that generated the distrust these women had for me went unnoticed as I did not have the capacity to fully understand my impact on them as well as the impact it had on me. Today, I believe that Michelle had no negative intentions when the relationship began and that she was an angel. A person, I believe she was a person that would never do the things I was doing to her, to me. I would soon come to find out that even Satan was an angel. In the next episode, I'll take you on a journey of accountability between a healing husband and a scorned wife. The infamous day that led to the next 5 years would bring me to a place of spiritual, emotional, and physical healing. Until next time, you guys, I love you.